Hello everyone. Today we are going to review Rambo First Blood. This movie, from 1982 is when it was made, so it is it's old. It's older anyway. But sometimes these movies seem to do a little bit better for me because everybody likes to get my opinion on the older movies because I'm still in that, I guess, middle generation, because I wasn't even probably thought of yet when this movie came out, so because I'm only going to be 28 this year. So there you go. So this is starring Sylvester Stallone, as many of you probably already know, and if you don't, Sylvester Stallone is an amazing actor. I mean, he kind of came into it a little late. I wouldn't say he's like top tier Hollywood, but as far as acting goes, he's definitely one of my favorites. And people say typecast and all that kind of stuff, but he's a bona fide action star. Let's just go with that. So we're going to just look that up just to get a couple of the names of the other people. Oh, there we go. First Blood. Just it says First Blood on here on IMDb. So if you want to know more about the movie, you can always go to IMDb to look it up. It is available on Netflix right now, so for free. And if you want to watch it on Prime Video, if you have Super Channel, it's free already. But you do have to pay for the actual Super Channel subscription if you want to watch it on Amazon Prime. If you don't have Netflix, that's the other way to do it. Also, this movie had, I'm just going to name off the three main characters because the rest of them were definitely secondary and I don't really know any of them. Brian Danny and Richard Crenna? I want to say it's Crenna. Anyway, they played William Tessel and Troutman. Now, I don't remember his first name, but anyway, he was the sergeant, I do believe, that was in charge of John Rambo when they fought, I believe, in the Vietnam War, because I believe that was the war they were talking about anyway, was the Vietnam War. From the flashbacks, that's what it looked like, because in the very beginning, you see him John is looking for one of his old army buddies, I guess maybe the only last one that would have been left alive from his platoon, I guess. And we find out that John Rambo was a Green Beret, so he was a serious, like, top-tier soldier, not somebody you would want to mess around with, which clearly this movie shows. He obviously has very high amounts of PTSD from the war, and he's not very old. He's a very young man. So I don't know what age exactly he was supposed to be, because I don't think they actually tell you in the movie, but he's not very old, so he has served his time, I guess, or at least as much time as was needed of him during that outing, and he clearly lost all his friends now, so he's left alone. He becomes sort of this drifter character, I guess, and when he comes to this town, this small town, the sheriff stops him and says, basically asks him what his business is here, and then says that he'll take him north to make sure he goes in the right direction, and tells him that he doesn't want drifters in his town. It just causes problems, and I guess they don't really like the army folk very much. That's very well stated right from the beginning. And then when he drops him off, Rambo just turns around to come back into the town, and that's when things go sideways, and the sheriff says, "You're coming with me," puts him under arrest, finds a knife on him, does all the processing and everything, and right when they go to give him a haircut, he has this massive flashback, and then this whole, like, fight scene ensues between him and the cops. He ends up escaping, and then when he gets into the forest eventually, he ends up setting up all these traps, crazy traps. Now, in comparison to the Last Blood movie that I I might put up first. I don't know. I think I'll actually do these in order. But in comparison to the Last Blood movie, I would say these traps weren't quite as crazy, because that movie was just over the top for finishing in the series. But these traps were still nuts. And yeah, he went off in this movie and killed quite a few cops. Although in this movie, it's kind of like you're rooting for the lesser of two evils. And in this movie, John Rambo is the lesser of two evils. And you're happy that he ends up, I guess, kind of confronting his demons in a way, due to Troutman being able to get close enough to him to say, you're going to die, you're surrounded, there's no way out, at the end of the movie. And then Rambo talks about his friend that was basically, well, not basically, was blown to pieces overseas in Vietnam, and he just can't get it out of his head. So he's clearly had a lot of trauma happen to him, and he needs help. Now, I don't know whether he's going to get it, because it looks like in the second movie they send him right back overseas again, so I guess we'll see where that one goes. And then I think Rambo 3, he's still overseas from the looks of the cover and everything. And then even the one in 2008, I believe he's just been trapped overseas all those years in Vietnam. So it was quite interesting the way they did it. And then I believe at the end of the one in 2008, he does return home. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's where the Last Blood one came from. So anyhow, getting a little ahead of myself here, trying to remember all the pieces. I guess the pieces are kind of coming back together now that I've watched the first one. But anyhow, obviously, William Tessel, the sheriff of that town, isn't able to get the job done. Troutman is, and in the process, Tessel also loses a bunch of his friends too, because obviously he had friends in the police force that he lost along the way, trying to basically it was like a home ground war, I guess, between Rambo and the police force. I think they even brought in army guys at one point in time. I'm not really sure how they worked that out, but Rambo definitely won this one, so I guess maybe that was, I guess we'll see. My kind of guess, if I remember correctly, is that that's his punishment, is sending him back overseas to probably, basically as a death sentence, I'm going to say. It's probably where they were going with that. I don't think there's much else I can say about this movie. The action sequences were good. Surprisingly, for a movie in the 1980s, a lot of the graphics looked even realer than some of the stuff we see today, just because of CGI technology. Sometimes I think they overdo it. But this one, a lot of the stunts and a lot of the action sequences looked like some of it was actually legitimately happening, and it could have been back then, because obviously they don't have the same technology they do now to computer generate all the truck jumps and jumping stunts and all that. Now, I don't know if Sylvester Stallone, I know he does some of his own stunts, because he did some of his own stunts for the Expendables, and he ended up breaking his neck in one of those scenes. If you know, you know. If you don't, you can look it up. And you should be able to find videos on it, or some sort of article on it anyway. I believe it's on YouTube. It might be Watch Mojo that talks about it. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched that video, so maybe I'll have to look it up myself, and if I can find it, and let you guys know where you can find it too. But anyhow, 10 out of 10 for this movie. I believe I've covered everything. Highly recommend going to watch it if you haven't ever watched any Sylvester Stallone movie, really. There isn't too many bad ones. A couple here and there, but I mean, hey, not every movie can be good, right? But this one, I would say, is definitely a 10 out of 10. It did have a couple slow scenes, but the action made up for it enough for me to give it a 10, and the ending was really well done to wrap up this film, so kudos to that. So I have to give this movie a 10. And I will be watching these ones as fast as I can before they remove them from Netflix, because I want to be able to watch them all for free, right? So it just makes sense. But I will see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to say this even in my last video, but like, comment, or like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If not, again, go watch it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.